For the second consecutive Sunday in the Caesars Superdome, the New Orleans Saints put together a show that made us forget about all the problems that exist with this football team. They might as well have been 10-0 for 3 hours yesterday, as the plethora of visiting fans from Cleveland, Ohio, barely made a peep. The Saints even made us forget about how lousy the LSU Tigers played on Saturday. Okay, well, they made at least some of us forget. The point is, no matter what happens in the near future, we certainly all had fun together for a couple of weeks. And for now, we'll take it. And we'll also talk about it as we usher in another Mano E Monday. It's me, it's Gabe, and most importantly, it's you, and it's next on the Dattitude Podcast.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, New Orleans? And hello to my friends elsewhere, everywhere, out there, who have visions of the most merriest of Christmases dancing in their heads. I mean, who needs sugar plums when you have Dattitude, episode number 312, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Monday, November the 18th. I am your host, Jim Derry, and I completely am fully aware that you see a green screen behind me and not the usual. I don't know what is going on this morning. At some point, I just gave up. I rebooted. I did everything I wanted to do. Anyway, I am fully aware that there's a green screen behind me. There's always a green screen behind me. You just don't usually see it like that. Anyway. This is did I say it's episode number 312? Did I say it's Monday, November 18th, 2024? Did I say we're presented by Evangeline Securities? I'm all flustered this morning. All kinds of reasons to be flustered. I mean, the Saints have won 2 in a row. Definitely did not expect that. Anyway, whether you're watching me with a green screen behind me live here on any of our NOLA.com social media channels, or you're listening to the on demand of the podcast, whatever the case may be, and if you're listening on demand of the podcast, you can't even see the green screen that's behind me. You can't see me. That's an even better thing for you, probably. I thank you for being a part of the Dattitude family and putting up with our shenanigans for another Monday. Mano E Monday. It's going to be you. It's going to be me, as I said. What do we got out here this morning? This ought to be interesting. I'm not late. I wasn't late. Good morning, Randall. Good morning. Good morning, Gary. Thank you for joining us here this morning. It is a good morning. Oh, God. You got to have UBN and his dumbass. How about them San Francisco 49ers, baby? Remember that bet we made, that Saints and 49ers? If it's a tie, I win, by the way. Whatever the record is, Saints and 49ers. May end up winning that bet. Charles, good morning. Says, good morning, Jim and Gabe. Dattitude family got back from his RV trip. Time to see a great Saints game. Go Saints, indeed. Barry Ulay, good morning. It was good to hear from you on the Saints Insider Show yesterday. Ashley Farrell says, good who dat morning. It is 35-14. Is that real? Rainy Cajun, let's go. Wow, he's got the GEAUX. I don't know how we're going with that go. Jerry says victory Monday, 2 in a row for sure. I'm not late. I'm here. You try to tell us what? What'd you try to tell us? Oh, Jerry, am I sipping on the Rizzi eggnog? I am not, my friend. I've been just enjoying where we are right now. That is it. By the way, Derry's Dime is coming up in a little bit, and I'll tell you more about what I'm thinking about Merry Christmas. Rocky, good morning. Valerie Lynn, what is up, everyone, on this Victory Monday? That's 2 in a row. 2 Victory Mondays in a row. Mark Satanovich, Taysom Hill, a.k.a. Derry Sanders, you mean Derry Sanders? How about Shador? Deion Sanders? Whatever Sanders you want to pick. Any one of those guys. The Mormon Ghost. He was incredible yesterday. We're certainly going to talk about Taysom Hill. We have comments. We don't get to play comments from Taysom Hill very often in this show, but we're going to do it today. Jason, you weren't paying attention, were you? I know there's a green screen behind me. Thank you. Well, Rainy Cajun says we're going to pretend it's a dome. I don't know what is going on this morning. I had to decide, Adam, who dat? Riz up. I had to decide at some point if I was going to be a little later and figure out what the problem is. It could be the program we use. It could be something going on my computer, but I rebooted and I still got a green screen behind me. It's not that big of a deal. Terrence, I'm your favorite sports media guy. Wow, man. Does that mean that you don't like the sports media guys here in New Orleans, and that I'm just like the middle? Or no, I know. But I picked the Saints to score 13 against the Browns. I know, man. I was wrong. No question. I don't know how to even pick the Saints anymore. Adam Varner, who dat? Look, I was 8-5 yesterday with my picks. My best bets, my two best bets, that was like easy stealing money. Gabe and I both. Ravens, Steelers under, and the Steelers, that was like stealing money. Okay? I told you it was one of my favorite bets of the year, the under. And I told you why. And when I was telling Zach Ewing about it yesterday. Zach was like, under? Are you crazy? And I tell him about the trends in this series, and he does what Zach always does. Yeah, but I mean, that doesn't mean jack. That's just a stupid trend. I mean, they've scored 35 points the last whatever week. It does matter. Trends matter. They're a reason why they're trends. And you know what? We don't even question why they matter. I know this. I'm a trends guy. I always have been, and I've been winning a lot of money on trends for the past several years. You don't question why they're trends. They just are. You can pick and choose whatever trends you want. No, you pick the dominant ones. You pick the trends that are the most dominant ones. And when you look at something like Ravens Steelers and the last 7 games, I told you the scores were 17-10, 16-10, 17-10, 20-16, 19-13. And what did we get yesterday? Steelers kicked 6 field goals and won the game. Lamar Jackson sucks against the Steelers. He sucked again. But today, you're right, David Ducott. Today, you are right. Taysom Hill is the man. Good morning, T-Mama. Glad you're here with us live. So we got Derry's Dime coming up. As if you're new to the show, first of all, if you're new to the show, this is the first time I've ever gone on live with a literal green screen. It's just me and the green screen, okay? If you're joining us late, what's going on with Derry? Why does he have a green screen behind him? And I don't see the dome behind him. We don't know. Technical difficulties. The service that we've been using, that we've used forever, StreamYard, has been a little, I'm not blaming it on StreamYard because I don't know that it's StreamYard's fault or not. But it's been a little weird lately. Okay? We had some problems with saying Facebook user or whatever. And today it's not recognizing my green screen. I've tried everything. So you'll just have to look at me like this today. It was either that or try to wait and fix it, whatever. Adam Vaughn, I wasn't completely wrong. Jameis, he wasn't eating a dub. He was eating an L, but he still went nuts. Defense still needs to get better, says Chris Johnson. Oh, we're going to talk about that a little bit. Don't think it's all going to be sunshine and roses on this show. If you think it's all going to be sunshine and roses, you ain't listened to me before. Okay? First of all, at some point today, we're going to talk about LSU. I never got a chance to really talk to Gabe before the show because of all the stuff that was going on, but probably going to bring on Gabe a little later, and I'll bring him on to talk to LSU. I'll bring him on for the sunny parts of the show. But if you haven't figured it out already, if you're new to the show, you can type in your comment, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and we'll show it here on the screen. By the way, if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching anywhere else but YouTube, let's put it that way. You want to come and join the Dattitude family, find us on YouTube. It's easy to do. Dattitude at Dattitude Pod. Find us on YouTube and become a member of the Dattitude family by clicking subscribe. If you're watching Give us a little like. Nope, not going to do it. Give us a little like. I don't know why it helps us. It does. They say it does. Who's they? I don't know. Again, later on, LSU, we're going to talk about Tulane too. I've got some comments for my Tulane friends who are getting a little bit unrealistic, I think. Go ahead, enjoy it. You won 7 in a row. You deserve to enjoy it. Tulane is playing phenomenally right now. They're one of the top 3 or 4 non-Power 4 schools in the nation, I would say. That's about right. And if you don't count Notre Dame, of course, because they're not in a conference. But if you leave Notre Dame out of it, they're certainly one of the top 3 or 4. But I had someone on my feed this one. I'm not going to mention names. If they're watching, they know who they are, and you're just silly. Who said, Tulane it's all in their hands now. They can do whatever they want. As long as they win out, they're going to pass Boise State. Dude, what planet are you living on? I mean, seriously, what are you watching? Anyway, I don't want to detract on it too. Because look, again, what Tulane's done has changed their entire program. We'll talk about them later. But we got to get to Derry's Dime. As you know, if you've been watching, I brought back Derry's Dime about a month or so ago. It's basically about a 5-minute prepared statement on what we saw yesterday. And then we'll get back to Mano E Monday. But before we get to all that, I want to tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. I mean, it is November. The holidays are coming. And you're pondering whether it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. It's time to get in touch with Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemel. They will maximize the value for that family-owned, privately held business. They do that by scheduling a complimentary valuation. I mean, while y'all are getting all fired up about a 2-game winning streak, the folks at Evangeline remain on an even keel because all they do is win, win, win. Don't worry, I'm not going to do the song. Well, maybe for a second, all they do is win, win, win. I couldn't help myself. Sorry. I won't do it again. No, I'm really not going to do it again. More on this later in the show without me singing, of course. But in the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right, time for the dime. What do I think about yesterday? You saying there's a chance? I don't know. What are we saying? What do we think? I mean, how many out there of y'all are thinking like you'll have a whole different outlook? I will say this. For 4 football seasons, the number one thing I have tried to bring you here on this show is reality. That's why nearly all of you who return on a regular basis do so. If you wanted someone to blow smoke up your ass, you could easily find a place for that. If you wanted doom and gloom for 52 weeks out of the year, I'm sure if you looked hard enough, you could find that too. It's not about being in the middle. I could care less what side I'm on. I just want to give you an opinion that is based on what I see throughout any given season, week, or in smaller detail following any given game. And so today, on this Monday, I urge you to forget about perceived notions about what could be coming up for this team, what is about right now for this team, or any individual on this team. Will Darren Rizzi get the full-time head coaching job today? On November the 18th, I say, who cares? Will Mickey Loomis step aside when this season is over and let someone else make the important decisions about the future of this franchise? Honestly, I don't give a damn about that on this Monday. Will the Saints dig deep and do an honest assessment about what they need most and put together a real priority list to follow in the offseason? Forget about it. No, today is about enjoying the now. Following 7 weeks of misery and torture and what ifs and what could have beens with the New Orleans Saints, football has been fun for the past 8 days. Well, at least professional football. Again, we'll talk about LSU in a minute. And quite frankly, we all deserve some positivity. And the best news of all is you get to enjoy this breath of fresh air for at least the next 2 weeks, as the Saints won't take the field again until meeting with the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday, December the 1st. Look, there's no doubt about the questions that I mentioned here in the dime. They'll all be back soon enough. All the Derek Carr haters will climb out from under the wooden deck and soon find the light as they always do. Those who root for their favorite team to lose, to clean house and get a better draft pick. They haven't disappeared. They simply hit the snooze alarm, and they won't be sleeping for long. Let's get real. Much of the criticism we have all placed on this team has been warranted. The fact that at times they show how good they can be is even with so many injuries is even more frustrating and more infuriating than ever. I'm not suggesting you forget about all that. I'm just suggesting that you forget about it for a few days, or maybe even through the Thanksgiving holiday. Enjoy it while it lasts. Will you hear me say that this current team has a chance to make a deep run and get back into playoff contention? Come on, man. You know me. I told you I keep it real. Reality is, I am uncertain if Darren Rizzi should get a real shot at the job in a couple months. But no matter what happens, I commend him on how he's inspired the room. I have no idea on whether this team will finish 6-11, 7-10, or what. I don't know whether after 2 weeks off, they will be back with the same fervor we've seen since Dennis Allen left the building. I just know this. I heard something in the Superdome against Atlanta last week and the Cleveland Browns on Sunday that I wasn't sure I would hear again for maybe even years. And that was Hoodats having fun and cheering for their team. And whether you're 10-0, 0-10, or somewhere in between, there's no better sound in sports in the sports world than that. Football most certainly is fun again. Enjoy it while it lasts. And that's the dime. Enjoy it while it lasts. I mean, you never know. I mean, you got to be realistic. Saints might, I mean, I'm not saying they won't because I think they will. But I mean, realistically, would it shock anyone if the Saints didn't win again this year? Wouldn't shock me. It would surprise me maybe a little. I'm just saying, look, enjoy today. And I say that about, I know I say that about everything in life, and I say it too much probably, but it's the truth. Enjoy what you have while you have it. And I know this, and I said this in the elevator. There's this lady that's one of the elevator attendants when you're going up to the press box. We always say hello and, exchange pleasantries or whatever. And she asked me, so how you feeling now after the Saints won? I said, got to be honest. Winning's a whole lot better than losing. Dude, come on. It would shock PBM if they don't win out. Dude, I'm not going to burst your bubble today, okay? Well, I am going to burst your bubble because this is a reality show. This isn't fanboy pie in the sky hopes. You saying there's a chance of? No, I'm not saying there's a chance, actually. Zach got a little, I don't say perturbed with me yesterday, but he was giving me the business, I guess. Because I keep saying 0.0% chance of making the playoffs. If the Saints won the rest of their games, they would be in, okay? If they lose one more, they probably wouldn't be in. I'd say there's less than 50% chance. If the Saints lost just one game the rest of the way, if they went, what are they? That'd be 5-1. The Saints went 5-1. I'd say there's less than 50% chance they're in the playoffs. Okay, so let's just keep it real for a minute. I know what I just told you. Have fun. But when I see this stuff, I just want you to be real for just a minute, okay? We can go back to feeling great in just a second. If they go, think about that. If they go 5-1 the rest of the way, their chances are less than 50% that they would make the playoff. Probably somewhere around 30-ish%. If they win out, their chances are probably like 85 to 90%. They're not winning out. I mean, you see this schedule on here? Okay, those two are winnable games after the bye week. I can tell you right now, I'm not picking them to beat the Rams. I'll be wrong again. Jason Benson, 0.0. But if they do beat the Rams and they win at the Giants like they probably should, they'll be favored. By the way, did you hear that Danny Dimes out? Bring him back, baby. Bring him back. Tommy DeVito is the new starter for the New York Giants. We'll see how long it lasts. We'll see if he's still starting on December the 8th. But anyway, we saw what the Saints did. They had trouble with DeVito last year. It's a low-scoring game. But after the Giants game, and I don't know the exact order, but I know this. The Saints play the Commanders. Saints cannot stop the Commanders. I'm sorry. They'd have to win in a shootout to beat the Commanders. And then at some point, I think it's the Sunday before Christmas, they go to Green Bay when it's going to be about 15 degrees. Terrence, Rams are a tough matchup with those receivers. No question. This is no question. So anyway, all the good yesterday. Taysom Hill was every now and then. Jerry says you got to believe. I don't got to believe. I don't. I'm just telling you, if you haven't figured out by now, I'm based and rooted in reality. And look, if I'm wrong, great. I'm wrong. Y'all can all tell me I'm wrong. Remember what I said. Nathaniel Sherman says the Super Bowl should be the only goal, not the playoffs. Get out of here. Get out of here. I don't believe in that at all. Now, I'm not saying your Super Bowl shouldn't be your goal. Sure. But it's not the only goal. It's ridiculous. It's just like we're going to get to the LSU fans in a little bit. And do they deserve to be pissed off? Absolutely. LSU fans deserve to be pissed off. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But the lack of living in the reality world is the biggest problem I have with any fan. I love all of you. Like, I mean that wholeheartedly. I love every single person, especially the ones that come to the show on a regular basis, and I know your names and I know who you are. I mean, I might not know you personally. I probably wouldn't know you if I walked down the street and saw you. You might know me, and we can strike up a conversation. I love all of you, and I thank you for being a part of the show. But if you're not rooted in reality, we need to, I would love to have a chat. I would love to sit down with you, have a chat. There's nothing wrong with being positive. Please, by all means, be positive. But you take it to extremes on both ends. I'm not just talking about Nathaniel or whomever. There's nothing wrong with certain years. Now, some years you go into the season, you're like, it's national championship or bust. It's Super Bowl or bust. Saints have had seasons where it's Super Bowl or bust, and they've only, to this day, won one. More than the Atlanta Falcons won. But some seasons you just say, let's be realistic. Going into this season. Now, granted, some of you wouldn't have wanted to go to the playoffs because it'd mean that Dennis Allen would still be here and blah, blah, blah. And I get that. But going into this season, how many of you, and I'm not talking about right now because it's easy to say right now, but how many of you would have taken 10-7 and go to the playoffs and at least have a building block? I would. So, again, I'm going to get to LSU in a minute and what's realistic and what's not. Have they been a disappointment? Absolutely. No question they've been a disappointment. But I think sometimes y'all put the blame in the wrong places at different. A lot of times I agree with you. And again, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying you don't even. I'm not saying by any means. I'm not saying anyone. People don't have a right to their opinion because they do. But don't get silly. I'm going to show some more comments. Let's get back to Mano E Monday. I just wanted to take that minute to bring up a point. Any Taysom Hill comments out there? Charles Mangus, Green Bay only beat Chicago by a point. I don't know who said that. Somebody did. Really? Daniels came down to earth in the last game of these two teams, winnable games. 50%, not a Charles. No, stop it. It's not 50%. There's no, first of all, here you go, okay? I know y'all don't believe in everything the odds makers say and lines makers say, but I've been dealing in the betting world for a long time, okay? They understand what works better than anybody. And I've actually learned how to do power ratings like them. I base my lines and where things should be off my own power ratings, and then I see where the lines are. I can tell you right now, the Saints will be at least a field goal underdog at home against Washington, probably more like 4-ish. At Green Bay, minimum, bare minimum, touchdown underdog in Green Bay. So to say that it's 50%, it's not even close. Okay? Not even close. Rocky wants to know if I believe Riz deserves a head coaching shot. If not here, do I think he gets offers elsewhere? It's too soon. You can't answer that question today. I will say this again. And, I got some clips for you today. I've got 2 clips from Rizzi, a clip from Taysom Hill, and one from Derek Carr. And I want to play this first clip from Darren Rizzi. It's 1 minute and 9 seconds about how different. Just think about, look, I'm not going to go trash on Dennis Allen like I know everyone wants him to do. And I know that y'all do so often. And I get it. Okay. I'm not taking up for Dennis Allen in any way, shape, or form. But that being said, the difference between Dennis Allen and Darren Rizzi, and you can see why he inspires people. And like, oh, happy day, basically kind of thing. And this clip is just proof positive why he's so different and why you can see how players are buying into what he's selling. Again, 1 minute and 9 seconds.
I think that we're starting to get some confidence back. You know what I mean? I thought we had a lot of confidence in the beginning of the year. We obviously hit a little bit of a lull, team-wise. And I think there's some, you got a little swag back, if you will. And so, that makes me so happy just seeing our guys celebrate and the culmination of the work week. And now I think that, we talked about that formula for winning. And so I think that, and I talked about the buy-in and it's a credit to everybody in the locker room. Those guys, that's what they've done. And so, listen, I love to see the excitement. We're going to have a little downtime now. The guys need it. We went, 11 in a row here is not easy. So, these late bye weeks. So kind of get to press the reset button again and kind of see if we can, make a push here at the end, one game at a time. Good, right? Yeah, it's been a crazy 2 weeks. I'd lie to you if I was saying I've had to sit down and really think about the whole thing. Maybe I'll do that this week, but we still have a lot of things we got to get done in the office and whatnot. So, but yeah, listen, it's gratifying to me to win. So at the end of the day, to watch these guys prepare these last 2 weeks and go out there, that's the gratifying part for sure. Just the smiles on the faces in the locker room, that's the gratifying part.
Yeah, I mean, you just get a different sense from Rizzi. Jerry says, hold on. Jerry says, from now on, don't bring that loser's name up anymore. Got to, man. It's part of how you got here, right? I mean, I understand I know you hate that name and you click off of me sometimes when I even mention his name, but you have to sometimes. Remember what I just said about reality and living in the now? I mean, by all means, again, I meant what I said in Derry's time. Enjoy it. I know I was enjoying it. But PBM, who just said they can win out. See, this is where I don't know if you're being facetious because I thought you were not a car hater, but I don't even understand this statement. You have to explain it to me. If they don't win out, it won't be because of Carr or the offense. Okay. You're praising Carr. Car haters, they're not here today, are they? Exactly, Gabe. I don't know. You call on Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Yeah, it's okay. You like Rizzi's attitude. So do I. Jerry says that Darren Rizzi is now. Adam Varner, Rizzi has a lot more passion. He has a great energy. Here's the thing with Rizzi, though. I agree with all that. One thing I can't, Rainy Cajun says, one thing I can't deny is Rizzi brings tons of passion to the job and by extension the team. I don't deny any of that. Another conversation, Zach Ewing's a big part of the show. I guess I should have had him on this morning. But one thing Zach and I were talking about it is, you cannot, it's coaching today is definitely different than it's been. You look at a guy like Dan Campbell, and Lord knows I'll bash him enough. But the one thing that Dan Campbell certainly has done right, besides there's probably no better motivator in the game in the NFL than Dan Campbell, and that's why he's been successful. But he's also been successful because he's surrounded himself by people who are really good at what they do. Ben Johnson is a reason why he's the most sought-after offensive coordinator in the NFL. And then Aaron Glenn is going to be a head coach at some point too. What's going to happen when those two leave? I don't know. He better find two really good coordinators after they leave. I mean, what happened to Coach O? When Joe Brady left, the offense became not good. They had to almost restart. So I love the positivity and what y'all have seen in Darren Rizzi that gets you so excited. But it's 2 games. Remember how we talk about all the time in history, everywhere, every team has gotten fired up for a coach. Sometimes it lasts a week. Sometimes it lasts the rest of the season. Are we looking at what happened in Las Vegas? with Antonio Pierce, and the Raiders got all inspired under Antonio Pierce enough to where the Raiders gave him the job. And now where are the Raiders? They have fallen behind even further because they kept Antonio Pierce. I'm just saying, 2 weeks doesn't make a future. Even if the Saints come and play inspired ball, let's be realistic and say they go the rest of the way, they go 3-3, or even if they go 4-2, okay? Nick Moss, was everybody talking about DA after the first games? Like, no, they just weren't talking about DA. When the haters are being proven wrong, at least momentarily, the haters don't say anything. It's like the Derek Carr haters. You're not hearing from them today. You're not going to hear from them today. It's like the Spencer Rattler lovers that disappeared and crawled back under the wooden patio. Valerie Lynn, Antonio Pierce should never have gotten the job. He doesn't have enough experience to be a head coach, and he should be a coordinator. What experience does Rizzi have besides being a special teams coach? I'm not saying he doesn't deserve consideration, because I think when all is said and done, let's see what he does the rest of the year and then figure out if he deserves consideration. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. But let's not crown him as the next Saints coach before we see what happens the rest of the way. It's like Terrence says. Love the Riz, but we've beaten 2 lame teams at home. He means lame. There's no question. I mean, the Falcons, not a lame team, although they're playing awfully right now. They went to Denver and laid an egg, and you see the standings, how close they are now. I mean, the Saints' only realistic chance, by the way, if you want to say it's not 0.0 and you want to say it's 1.0% chance, I still say 0 in reality. I'm not using the mathematical probabilities because I think the math says it's somewhere like 1.5% or whatever. I'm talking about reality. Because if you look at the standings, Atlanta stinks, but they got 3 games they ain't losing, okay? They got to play, I know they play the Giants and Panthers, and I can't remember who else. They're not losing either one of those games, okay? And you got to remember the Saints are going to lose a tie. Saints will lose a tiebreaker to Atlanta. So if you want to talk about the future, and again, I'm not trying to bring you down, I'm trying to put you in reality. Maybe they got rid of DA a little too late. What would have happened if they would have done this? I don't know. I mean, now you still would have had Spencer Rattler or Jake Haener because Derek Carr was hurt. But what would have happened if you would have made this move like when they were 2-5, or God forbid, before the season started? I don't know, man. I know. What ifs. What else we got here? I know, Jando, you posted this earlier. The Saints wear the all-black uniform and helmet, blackout. I don't think they're wearing the black. I don't think they've already said they're not going to wear the black helmet with the black uniforms. And I personally, I thought I would like the black helmet. Not this has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but I personally thought I would like the black helmets more than I do, and I really don't really like them. I thought I would. They're okay. I don't know. Anyway. Lance says, wrong one. They're moving so quickly. Hardest game versus Rams at home after the bye. Green Bay is smoke and mirrors. I completely disagree. You want to go on this? And Green Bay is not smoke and mirrors. Green Bay is a really good football team. Just because I told y'all they were going to go to Chicago and struggle. Y'all should read my column a little more. I'm just saying. I've been right on Green Bay almost every week this season. And I'm telling you right now, Green Bay is really good, and the Saints aren't beating Green Bay in Green Bay. They're just not. If you want to take money lines to the bank, you can take that money line to the bank. Period. Yeah. Walt says this defense has got to be better. Jameis lit the secondary up. Look at these numbers. I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear me say the name Jameis Winston. I'm trying to get it so the numbers don't go down when I say it. but he was 30 of 46 for 395 yards. Now, I was wrong in every way in this game, except the fact that I did think Jameis would have a pretty decent game. But I also thought Nick Chubb would have a decent game, and he didn't do jack. Now, they got away from Nick Chubb because they were losing, and Jameis threw 46 passes, but still, I mean, Nick Chubb didn't do anything. 11 carries, 50 yards. I mean, but Jerry Jeudy, 6 catches for 143 yards and a touchdown. I didn't even have room for Njoku, who had 9 catches. Got it. Defenses. I'm really worried about that defense. I got to be honest. Rainy Cajun. What is my overall impression of the team's performance under Rizzi? Good, great, definitely not dominant. I wouldn't say great either. Of course, they're better, but do they have the stamina to run the table? No, of course not. They're going to run the table? Come on, man. They're not going to run the damn table. Gabe Henderson, breaking news. Josh Allen is the new MVP betting favorite. It's just like everything else. We all respond. And again, I'm all over the place this morning. But just the public responds to what they saw 12 hours ago. Okay. Lance, they are not running the table. I have already made y'all a promise. If the Saints go to the playoffs, I will change the name of the show to Rizzitude, because we didn't have to change to Rattitude a few weeks ago when y'all all thought I was going to change it. And I said I was going to shave my head, but a lot of you said, don't shave your head. We can't look at you like that. What if I dyed my hair? My daughter would love if I dyed my hair. So how about if I don't know, what y'all think if the Saints go to the playoffs, which ain't happening. So I'm going to change the name for a week of this show to Rizzitude. What do you think? Should I shave my head or dye my hair? Shave my beard. My wife would love that. Jason Benson, 0.0. Valerie says, dye my hair gold. I could do that. I could do it. And the more I think about it, when you get to my age, even though I have a full head of hair and I'm probably okay, when you get to my age, it's probably not a good idea to shave it anyway. You know what happens when you shave it. You always get nervous it's not going to come back. Even though it probably would, I'd probably rather dye it. Bleach blonde. Emily says, dress up like the Saints Pope. Again, getting off topic. But I had season tickets until I started covering the Voodoo and then was covering the Saints, so I had to get rid of them. Conflict of interest thing. But we were in the same, me and my buddy were in the same section as the Pope, right behind him. In fact, one of the guys who dresses up like the Pope now, not the original guy, but he was always hammered, like drunk off his ass, like so smoking drunk. Now I notice, I guess he's getting older and he doesn't get as drunk. It doesn't seem. But in fact, this was, again, before he dressed up like the Pope. Me and my buddy, we just called, there's drunk dude. In fact, when we would refer to him when we weren't in the dome, we would say drunk dude. We know who we're talking about. Nathaniel says, I'm safe. The Saints won't run the table and make the playoffs. They're just, you got to be realistic. Okay. Again, I'm going to go through this. And okay, so if, in reality, what do the Saints need to do to make the playoffs? Well, first of all, Seattle's win yesterday over the Niners did not. You were talking about little minutia of things that help or hurt. Things that help or hurt. One thing that definitely hurt is Seattle winning. Because that division, I think everyone in the NFC, I think all 4 teams in the NFC West are going to finish with a better record than the Saints. Or at least the same record as the Saints. So I think, and then you're talking about the NFC North, where 3 of the 4. So the Saints aren't going to win a wild card. I mean, I think it's not impossible, but it's getting close even now on November the 18th with 6 games left, 7 weeks left in the season. I think the chances of them winning a wild card are not slim. They're 0. So then you have to go and look at the NFC South. And again, I already told you, Atlanta has the tiebreaker on the Saints. So realistically, and you look at Atlanta's schedule, let's see, I'm going to call it up now as we talk on live TV. Their remaining games are they also have a bye week next week. Then they host the Chargers. Okay, let's say that's a loss. Then they go to Minnesota. Okay, let's say that's a loss. Okay. Then they play the Raiders. They host the Giants, Commanders, even if that's a loss, Panthers. They're not going to lose to either the Raiders, Giants, or Panthers. Even if you think they're going to lose the other 3 games, which I don't think they'll lose all 3, but they might. That's still 9-8. Okay? 9-8. Again, Saints lose a tiebreaker. So what do the Saints need to do? If the Falcons go 9-8, it means the Saints got to go 10-7. And then you still got to hope Atlanta loses one of those, doesn't win one of the 3 games that we told you that they'd probably be underdogs in, or pick them. Be realistic. Could it happen? I mean, I guess, again, mathematically, the chances aren't 0.0, but in reality, they're probably 0.0. That's why I go back to the dime, and that's why I say enjoy today. Enjoy the now, because yesterday was a lot of fun. Last Sunday, I'm not even sure, we were talking about in the press box, which game was more fun? Was it Atlanta because it was Atlanta and they broke the streak, the schneid, or was it yesterday? Because yesterday, Taysom Hill was just dominating, right? There was something about yesterday that even though it was a interconference game and it's Cleveland and it shouldn't matter as much, there was something about yesterday that I think that was more fun than last week. Last week broke the spell, but you almost sort of it could have expected, even though I didn't pick it. You could see it because, like we have always told you about interim coaches and whatever. But for them to come out a second straight week and play inspired football, I almost think yesterday was more fun and more inspiring. What got into Taysom Hill? Kyle Sherman, 21-0 fourth quarter finish. I think that's why it was more fun. 138 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns, and it had nothing to do with the fact that I was playing Doug Mouton in fantasy football and he had Taysom Hill. Nothing to do with that. But it was great to see. You can even hear through the lines. All right, Taysom Hill, it's a 1 and 49-second clip. Fans were drinking like it was 2010. It was fun, I bet. Taysom Hill, he talks about the performance and what it was like, but he also talks about Darren Rizzi. And again, it's another player perspective of how much different this team is, how much different life is as a football player under this guy. And so I'm not saying he doesn't have a chance. I'm just saying let's wait and see. But it is most definitely a breath of fresh air, as was Taysom Hill's performance yesterday. Again, 1 and 49 seconds we'll be back.
Look, I've always believed in myself, and it was one of those games where, Clint and the way the coverage was working out, just created opportunities for me. And I know Riz talked about it, but I thought Derek played a really efficient game, and the ball was going where it needed to go, and it was coming out on time. And we're really hard to defend when we're doing that. And man, he made a lot of really pivotal plays, third down, third and long, and he's making plays to move the chains, and that's a big deal. We gained some numbers that way, and that's obviously never been a secret, and we've done these things in the past, and it's been successful. So certainly in a 4-minute situation, it's one of those things that's been advantageous for us. And Clint called a great game, and he created a lot of unique opportunities for me to make plays. And I think as you start to look at what we're doing offensively, the more things we do that way, the harder it is for us to be defended. I think Riz has done a really nice job of, communicating with a lot of guys in the locker room. So we've had a lot of meetings with him. We've had private meetings, whatever. And I think he has a really good pulse on what we need collectively as a team to get ready for a football game, and I think guys have responded to that and, have really respected and, his ability to come in and have conversation, but then take feedback and make some changes. And, as I mentioned, guys have responded really positively.
So that's what gives Rizzi a chance, right? It's the fact that the players are certainly buying in. How many of these guys, though, are going to be here next year? You wonder what the turnover is going to be like. Is this going to be the most turnover this team has? Again, we don't want to get too far in the future because the theme of today's show is don't worry about the future. Don't worry about what's going to happen when the season's over. That's what I said in the dime, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite. But you hear what Taysom Hill is, and at least for today, and it goes with the theme, they are having fun today. It is different today than it's been. And it's different because the attitude is different. I mean, I don't know how many times to say this. I just don't think, again, I think DA's biggest problem was the fact that he's just not an inspiring kind of dude. Not that I've seen. Maybe he's different behind the scenes, and I'm not saying you got to kick somebody in the ass all the time. But sometimes people need a kick in the ass. I don't know if he was capable of doing that. Kyle says, Rizzle sizzle, hope no fizzle. You trying to get on my a headline on my front page? Never know. I've been trying to come up with something for the only thing I come up with so far is G Riz. We're going to see what we can come up with. Charles Manga says Taysom at 34 looks like he played 3 more years easily and completely. I can tell you what, normally I would say that's nuts, but I ain't doubting him. That dude doesn't look any different than he looked 7-8 years ago. The only difference with Taysom is, if you notice, I've always said, like, why don't they use him more often? And I think the reason is, I think they know they can't use him every game like that, right? They just know. Charles says, attitude makes for winning games. I just think that if you use him too much like that, we've already seen him get injured this year. So he's a huge injury risk, and I think that's why you don't use him like that very often. Jason says he's riding with Riz. Bart Prudhomme says, if it wasn't for Taysom, we'd have another L. I don't know if that's true or not. Don't get me wrong. They needed him yesterday. Adam Varner says, I think the players are actually trying with the Riz biscuit. They're wearing the Merry Rizmas shirts. They're buying in. They're enjoying it. But you saw how Taysom Hill was inspired. And later you heard Derek Carr talk about how he goes to each player and he talks to each player. And the different things, just the difference that you hear. And the way that he praises a guy, he's not afraid to praise a guy in his conference or if someone asks him about it. He's not. Dennis Allen was always kind of like, he would think about it for a second and he'd go, yeah, I thought he played well. We needed him. Blah, 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 blah. No. There's nothing wrong with talking about your player and praising him in front of everybody. No one's going to get jealous if you're praising a guy like Taysom Hill who did his thing. I didn't play. This is good. Adam says, I hate to rizzle on the parade. I get it. Ha, ha, ha. After this clip, this clip is 1 minute and 35 seconds of Darren Rizzi talking mostly about Taysom. In fact, I think this clip's all about Taysom. But after this clip's over, he actually goes into Alvin Kamara, and I didn't play that part because I didn't want it to be too long. But Rizzi has no problem. And then he talks later on. Again, I didn't play this part either, but praises Derek Carr. He doesn't care. He's not going to offend anybody by praising a player. You should praise them. Just like if they stink, you should be able to say they stink. So this is what I think players are buying into. Second clip from Rizzi, again, 1 minute and 35 seconds.
Kudos to Taysom for responding. And, no surprise, that's Taysom, but great response from him. I know he was pissed off at halftime because we had a couple of turnovers, the interception and the fumble. But he might be the poster child for the resiliency. Look at him come back, bounce back, make some huge plays. We decided to go for it there on 4th and short. He has a touchdown run. Then we're in a 4-minute drill, and he busts out another long one. So I'm certainly happy as heck that we have that guy on our team. Yeah. I think when you look at least for the time I've been here for most of the time Taysom's been, and listen, when he touches the ball, and he's on the field, it affects the game tremendously, and he doesn't even sometimes have to get the ball. Him being on the field and him, kind of like I thought Clint did a phenomenal job in the way we used them today. He ran it, he threw it, he caught it. And so when you're defending that and you're not sure where he's going to line up and all that, it neutralizes the defense a little bit. You maybe get some more, vanilla looks than if he's not on the field. And so, I think he had 8 catches and 7 carries and 2 pass attempts, because you look at the first couple of games, he was very, very involved. He obviously then was dealing with an injury. Coming back off of that, and I think he's gotten a little bit more and more involved every week. But if you look at our wins so far this season, I'm going to tell you that Taysom's numbers are pretty good. And so that's been a theme around here for a long time. And like I said, and Alvin's been kind of carrying the load there. And just, again, Alvin had some really tough, really good yards today. And then be able to keep them off, the defenses off balance with those 2 guys is a big thing.
Again, he goes longer on about Alvin Kamara and talks about how important he was. Again, you're praising the key players on this team, and it's something that I don't know that I've even mentioned it before, but I would have a problem sometimes with the way Dennis Allen would seem to be afraid about singling out certain players. Whenever he was asked about if someone did what Taysom did yesterday, I'm sure he would have gone on about Taysom a little bit, but I'm just saying in general, coaching is just being a leader. And Zach's right about motivation is so much more important, I think, today. Look at the Dolphins. They have a goofball as a coach, okay? They have a guy I'm not even certain would be a good offensive coordinator. He might be. That's not a leader of men. That's a Gucci-wearing goofball. The Dolphins will never be good with that dude as their coach. I want someone that's going to inspire. That's why I talk about someone who's young and fired up. And so maybe it's a little bit hypocritical because I give Dan Campbell crap. But there's got to be a combination of the two, right? There's got to be someone like Mike Tomlin. That's why I've always loved Mike Tomlin, because he's old school and he's new school. Now, he did some things yesterday. The Saints game, I got it on. It was a very questionable 4th down that he went for that ended up backfiring. Now, Justin Tucker missed a field goal and it didn't hurt him. So I think Mike Tomlin's trying to incorporate analytics and be kind of new school with his old school philosophy. But there's a coach who I think is brilliant in the sense of not only does he know how to fire his teams up, but his teams always play fundamentally sound. It's a combination of the two. There's got to be someone out there like that for this team. And I just don't know that it's Rizzi. I know there aren't tons of Mike Tomlins in the world, okay? I know there aren't tons of, Andy Reid is a different kind of coach. I'm not sure that Andy Reid, if he were starting his career, would even get a job today because he's so old school. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll find out. Team Mama says I'm spot on. Well, thank you. I'm just saying that's why as much as I love what Rizzi's done in 2 games, let's talk about let's revisit this again. Look, if they beat the Rams, I'm going to have to start coming around, right? If they beat the Rams, because they'll probably beat the Giants. The Giants are a mess. If they beat the Rams, they're probably going to beat the Giants, then they'll probably be 6-7. I may have to change my attitude then. I don't know. We still got a long way, but I know this. I have never looked more forward to a bye week, not because of me and I want to rest. I'm looking forward to a bye week because it's the perfect time. After the miserable 7-week just nightmare, the Saints have won 2 in a row at home, and now they're off for a week, and you get to enjoy these 2 wins for an extra week. These players get to enjoy. Carr talks about the bye week as well. look, we're going to wrap up the show with the Saints. And I do want to, I got to play the clip from Carr. It's worth waiting for. We're going to wrap up the show with the Saints, and I will give you my Monday night prediction at the end as well. But I want to talk a little bit about LSU and a little bit about Tulane, because we got to talk about Brian Kelly. 100% got to talk about Brian Kelly. I'm going to bring on Gabe in just a minute. But first, real quick, we told you earlier we would let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family or privately owned business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. Well, how do they do it? After their complimentary valuation of your company, which we told you about earlier, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanian, Nick Braden, Ron Hamilton, the folks at Evangeline, they'll be behind you all the way. They will begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the world. And they will maximize the return process for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area. I truly mean that. And none with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed, ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. Not the Saints. Not Darren Rizzi. Not pecan pie. Not what you're going to eat for Thanksgiving. Not any of that. Not your leftover Halloween candy. Not Christmas. Well, Christmas is important. But what's really important is the rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right. Again, LSU time. Brian Kelly time. We're not talking about the Pelts today. Sorry, Charles. They won on Friday. What day are they? They won against the Nuggets and lost to the Lakers. Should have beat the Lakers. Had the lead. Not getting into that today. Again, if you're just joining or you've been in and out and you're wondering why I got a green screen behind me, because we had some issues as we went on. Don't know what happened. Can't get my background going. I either had to go through and figure out what's going on or come on and you see me with a green screen. And I chose come on and see me with a green. Doesn't really matter, does it? We all get to talk to each other. All right. Can't wait to hear what Gabe has to say about LSU. We were both wrong. Well, I thought LSU was going to get it back together this week, but instead they just stunk up the joint. And to me, I think the biggest problem for them is, well, number one, is the offensive play calling, and they're ridiculously predictable. And I'm so sick of, let's just run on first down up the middle and get 2 yards and put our team in a hole. And then Nuss found ways to get out of third down early, but finally the Gators started figuring that out, and they couldn't keep getting out of it. And they're just not playing with any inspiration whatsoever.
We were both wrong with this prediction, but were either of us really surprised?
I guess not.
No.
I guess not. But, I mean, here's the thing, though. And this is what I want to get into, okay? I've seen so many numbskulls. Let me put it that way. I don't know how else to say this. People forget. They have such short memories. It's why Josh Allen is now the betting favorite to be the MVP, okay? It's what have you done for me? Not lately. What have you done for me yesterday, okay? Nobody cares what you've done for me, like the 6 weeks in a row or last year, or how about 3 years ago when Brian Kelly brought this team that was a sinking ship and losing all of its recruits, and we're about to go into Jerry DiNardo and Curly Hallman land because the previous coach, who I love to death as a person, his heart wasn't in it, and he just frankly wasn't surrounded by the right people, and this team was in a miserable position, and Brian Kelly, to me, brought them out of that in a hurry. Now, he's been sort of stagnant, and, but you come off of a season where you lose the Heisman Trophy winner and a lot of other pieces around him, and you really have no running game, which is partly Brian Kelly's fault. But at the same time...
Well, no. Hold on. They do have a running game. Joe Sloan just chooses not to use. Have you ever seen the movie Mean Girls?
They have one decent running back.
You ever seen the movie Mean Girls, Jim?
Unfortunately, yes.
You know the famous quote, "Stop trying to make fetch work or fetch happen."
Yeah.
Stop trying to make Josh Williams happen.
Oh, 100%.
Please. He's a fifth-year senior.
I couldn't agree with that anymore. Every time 18 is in the game, I want to pull my hair out. He can't block, and he can't run, and he can't catch. Other than that, he's great. I mean, I don't get that at all.
You've got an absolute gem. You've got an absolute gem at running back in Caden Durham, who was probably the lone bright spot on Saturday.
Yeah.
And going into this game, he averaged 9 carries a game. So you want to talk about why the running game is a problem? Well, there you go, Joe Sloan. Why don't you start with that?
Here's another point, too. And Kyle, you're spot on. And this O-line, which I was one of the ones going on all these shows, including my own, saying that this was going to be the best offensive line. I thought they had a real chance to be the best offensive line in the country. Not only have they not been the best offensive line in the country, they're not even like mediocre. I don't even think they're good. So, I mean, these guys better, if I were them, I don't know where they think they're going in the draft. And if people want to draft these guys high, then go for it. But I think all these guys need to come back. The ones that can, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be 2 first-round tackles. It's how it's going to be. Charles, he got fired because he went 11-11 after a national championship.
There's nothing to do with
he completely stripped down the program. Whatever your sources, completely blowing smoke.
And Charles, I'm telling you because, again, I covered Coach O's sons in college. I got to know him. I wouldn't say well, but I got to know him a little bit. And it's not because of anything that was off the field. I promise you.
No, it's all on field. They were horrible. But let's talk about Brian Kelly for a second. Everyone wants to point the blame to Brian Kelly. Can we talk about the fact that he has had to replace, in his first season, coming in, had to replace a special teams coordinator? The season after that, he had to replace his offensive and defensive coordinators. And now he's going to have to replace another offensive coordinator. In addition to replenishing all the recruits, in addition to this season having to replace a Heisman-winning quarterback, 2 first-round receivers, and multiple other positions.
I mean, the only thing I'll say on that, let me present the other side. And again, I agree with you. I agree with you. But I mean, what the detractors are going to say is all the good programs have to do that. I mean, you look at Alabama, and look, I think Alabama's is way ahead of where I figured they would be at this point. I don't know if they're going to make the playoff or not. They probably will.
They will.
But to even have a chance, I didn't expect Kalen DeBoer to come in. I mean, they lose a game like they lose to Vanderbilt. I mean, they shouldn't be in the playoff, by the way. You lose to Vanderbilt, I don't think you belong in the playoff. But anyway, regardless, look at what they've done, and they've done a better job than I've expected. So all these teams have things to replace. Why about LSU? And Charles,
hold on.
You got to show Kelly. Anybody saying Kelly can't recruit, you need to stop following college football. Charles, I love you. You've become a regular in this program. You're part of the Dattitude family, but that is just way wrong. LSU has a top 5 recruiting class. None of those guys aren't going anywhere. LSU has another top 5 recruiting class coming in, so that's completely wrong.
Including the number one quarterback in the country, who they went and picked out of Michigan, who they got to decline a $10.5 million NIL offer from his home state school.
That is not true.
But he can't recruit. It's okay, he can't recruit. The pushback I'll give you on the Alabama thing. Look at who each coach took over from.
Yeah.
Taking a program over from Coach O versus Nick Saban.
No, I'm with you.
Night and day.
No, I'm with you, but in some ways it's it's tougher even to take over for a Saban because can you imagine the expectations in Tuscaloosa?
Oh, I know. People were calling for him to be fired after one loss.
They're more ridiculous than in Baton Rouge. So I don't know.
Let me just put it this way: Brian Kelly's not getting fired this year.
Well, that's true.
And anyone, just stop wishing for it. Well, it's not going to happen. If they have another year like this, if he misses the playoff next year, then we can have this conversation.
Yeah,
but it's not happening.
It's like wishing last year, and I told y'all this, and I thought I had a chance to be right.
Charles, stop watching football.
want to come to LSU, not Kelly. That's
stop watching.
Okay.
Why didn't they want to come to LSU beforehand?
Yeah, that's
under Coach O's last 2 years. Why didn't they want to come to LSU?
This is the hater mentality that I was talking about earlier in the show. That when I wasn't talking about Brian Kelly per se, even when you hate someone, you have to give them credit for things that they're good at. Okay,
unless you're hating on Joe Sloan like I do, and he's good at nothing.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever. I'm just saying that there are lots of things. Even if you hate Derek Carr, you have to say, okay, well, he's one of the best deep ball and I don't want to get into the whole Derek Carr debate, but I'm just saying that you can't deny certain things that some people are good at. And one thing there's no question about is Brian Kelly is a good recruiter. It's why he's always been successful in college football, even if he's had lapses and moments where he's coached good games. And look, what I am worried about when it comes to Brian Kelly is it's kind of a similar issue with Dennis Allen, where I think he might be losing some of these guys their confidence because all this talk about the screaming issues and people being called out and, wide receivers saying things, that stuff does bother me. And if you do lose a locker room, even if it's in college where you have this high turnover, that does become a problem.
I mean, here's the thing, Jim. Did nobody know Brian Kelly was a hothead before they gave him $100 million?
Of course.
Brian Kelly's always been a hothead. He's not going to change. This is always how he's been.
No, and I don't have a problem with hothead. I'd rather a hothead than like, it's okay that we lost. I'm so sorry we ran up the score on you. It's definitely way better than that.
I mean, we all saw what he said to Chris Hilton. I have no issue with that. I have no issue with what he said to Chris Hilton.
Need a hothead.
What he said to Chris Hilton was 100% correct.
Yeah, I just don't. And one thing I am with Charles on, it's like cursing players on the field. I'm not into that. I mean, that's
it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
It happens everywhere. If anyone who's played football or been down on a sideline or been to a practice knows, it happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, Kyle's needs I agree with you.
Yes.
New OC.
I agree.
And the defense will be better in year 2 under Baker. Look, I think Baker's done as well of a job as he could have done. The defense isn't good, but I think they've made, and in some games they play better than they never play, in my opinion, except for Ole Miss. I don't think they ever have played a really good game. I just don't. I mean, I think they played better.
No, they played well. They played well against Florida until the end.
I don't.
For the most.
No.
Relatively speaking, it's all relative.
Yeah, right. You're being relative to them.
Yeah.
Right. Well for them. Okay. Well,
yeah. And the defense is not the issue with this team. It's the offense. It's just.
Yeah.
I think it was Kyle asked earlier. Let me go find the comment real quick. Yeah, here it is. Is it Sloan or is it Nuss? Yes. Neither of them are good enough. Neither of them are good enough.
I agree with Nuss. That's not good.
Name a good performance Nuss has had against a good team.
I mean, I think he was really good throughout all the way until the last couple weeks.
The last couple weeks being when?
A couple weeks ago. I mean, I think he was good against USC. I think he was good against.
He was okay against USC.
No, I think he was good against.
He was better, but USC's not a good team. USC's a 500 football team.
South Carolina's a good team.
South Carolina's a good team. He was not good against South Carolina.
I thought he was.
No, he wasn't.
You're just hating, okay?
I'm not.
Don't be like the idiots out there.
I'm not. He's not good enough. He's not good enough. I'm sorry, Jim.
Well, he's going to play in the NFL, okay? So if he's not good enough, yes, he is. 100% he's going. I don't want him on my team. I'm telling you right now, there's a 100% chance that Garrett Nussmeier is going to play in the NFL. Will Levis is in the NFL. Garrett Nussmeier.
Will Levis was better than Garrett Nussmeier in college.
No chance.
Yes, absolutely.
No, he didn't. He was a bum. He's a bum then, and he's
Garrett Nussmeier's a bum.
You can keep saying that. He's projected to be a first-round draft pick.
No, he's not. I looked this morning. He's fallen out of the first round in every mock draft.
No, bullshit.
Go look at any mock.
I don't care.
While I talk
right now.
No, while I talk right now. Jim, while I talk right now, go pull it up. Go pull up any mock draft of your choice.
Anything, I'm telling you right now, stop talking. I'm
Not
telling you right now, when it gets to that time of year, he's going to be a first-round pick. We can make a bet, and you can paint your face again. He's going
I'll paint my face.
A first-round.
Sure.
Okay, paint your face. He's going to be a first-round pick. I'm just telling you.
Are we saying this year?
No, he's going to be a first-round pick in 2038. What year do you? I don't care what year. Whenever he comes out, he's going to be a first-round pick.
If he comes out this year, I'll make this bet. If he comes out this year and he's a first-round pick, I'll paint my face.
I'm telling you, he's a first-round pick, period. I don't care if he comes out this year or if he comes out next year. You got to make the bet. You can't say if a whiff a shiffa. You got to stand by your conviction.
Okay, I'll stand by it. He's not a first-round pick.
Okay.
Not a first-round pick.
Okay, well, let's dye our hair. I'd rather do that. That'd be more fun.
I don't want to dye my hair.
All right.
I'll paint my face again.
You paint your face and I'll dye my hair.
I've seen nothing from him to show that he's a first round pick. He's supposed to have this huge arm.
Nothing from him. I'm telling you what's reality. I don't give a damn. I can think he sucks.
For
I thought Will Levis
NFL aside. NFL aside. Let's talk about him. What were our concerns about Nussmeier going into the year?
You're talking about what you think. I'm talking about reality.
What were our concerns about Nussmeier?
Hold on. We're comparing him. You want to compare him to Will Levis? Let's compare him to Will Levis. Okay.
Let's do it.
I've been saying since the first time I ever saw Will Levis play that he was a bum and didn't deserve to be in the NFL. However, I was certain that he was going to be in the NFL. And not only is he getting a chance, but he's getting an extended chance, and he's turning an average football team into a horrendous football team. So it doesn't matter what I think. Reality was that he was going to get the chance. So I'm telling you that the kind of quarterback that Nussmeier is, the pedigree that Nussmeier has, he's going to get a chance. Whether he should get a chance, whether I think he should get a chance, whether you think he should get a chance, it doesn't make a difference. He's going to get a chance because of who he is.
He's not a gunslinger, Charles. He can't hit a deep ball.
I don't know that I agree.
He can't hit a deep ball. His deep balls have been off all season long.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Our concerns about Garrett Nussmeier going into the year, and I remember Wilson talked about this when we had him on. He said that people's concerns were his accuracy and his turnovers. He's had more turnovers this year than any LSU quarterback since Jarrett Lee in 2008. That was his freshman season.
Yeah. Okay. So
his completion percentage over the last few weeks has dipped considerably.
Don't give me over the past few weeks. I hate when we start cherry picking.
Well, that's when he started playing real competition.
No, he started playing real competition almost the whole season. It's no different now than it is. Florida's not real competition. He sucked against Florida. I mean, he wasn't great against Florida. That doesn't have anything to do with yesterday or last week.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back earlier in the season. Let's go back earlier in the season. He had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions against South Alabama. 6 of his touchdowns came against Nichols.
So
it's an FCS school. So if you take away, I don't want to be the takeaway guy. I hate being the take, and I'm not going to do that. But all I'm saying,
taking away? I don't understand.
He's got 22 touchdowns on the season. 6 of them were against an FCS school.
Okay.
So if you take those away, I hate
him out. 16 touchdowns.
16 touchdowns, 11 picks. That's bad.
16 touchdowns
and 11 picks.
Yeah, he's got 11 picks. A lot of it is because his receivers aren't fighting to get open. I mean, I'm not taking up for him playing like crap the last 3 weeks because he has played like crap the last 3 weeks. I'm not denying that. I'm just telling you, you're seeing what you want to see because you're trying to find places to. They all have blame in this.
They all. I never said that.
Okay, well,
I never said they don't. I think Joe Sloan is the main person to blame.
With Nuss not that long ago. I don't remember you really complaining about Nuss.
Oh, like, no. I remember I called him out for his performance against Miss. I said, well, even when they were winning, you remember it. Pull it up. I said it on the show. Okay, he did not play well. He did not play well, but I gave him credit for his fourth quarter performance.
I just think again, it doesn't matter what you are. I think you're comparing him to. It's the same thing as Derek Carr being compared to Drew Brees. People are comparing Garrett Nussmeier.
No. I'm not comparing him to Jaden Daniels or Joe Burrow, though. I'm not comparing him. I'll compare him to Danny Etling. I'll compare him to Brandon Harris.
You want to compare him to Danny Etling?
He doesn't. Danny Etling and Brandon Harris were better than him.
You need to stop watching football now.
They did not turn the ball over.
If you really
they didn't turn the ball over, Jim,
stop watching football.
If you have a bad defense, you cannot turn the ball over at the rate that he does because it only makes things worse.
Danny Etling and Harris both. I saw Harris playing. He wasn't good in high school. I mean, anyway, those two guys, you can't compare them to those two guys.
I think Danny Etling was a better LSU quarterback than him.
Well, Danny Etling's record.
Brandon Harris might have been a little.
And so was
hands up. That was a stretch. But okay. I think Danny Etling was better.
Well, at least you're man enough to admit it.
Danny Etling was better.
No, and hold on, right here. And here's another thing. Corey Terrio has made Lacey look like a horrible. You know why? Lacey
No. Hold on.
Lacey's playing like a spoiled little brat. That's why
Lacey
looks like
Lacey got way too much hype going into the year.
Lacey is a little.
I'll say that. Lacey has not been great. I will say the one receiver who I believe doesn't deserve any blame for this season is Aaron Anderson. I think Aaron Anderson has been fantastic.
Aaron Anderson is phenomenal. And another kid, man, he was incredible. And not to go back in high school again, but he was incredible his freshman season at Carr. Like his freshman season, I'm like, who's this kid? Somebody says he's a freshman. I'm like, no way. Yes, he's a freshman. He was returning punts and making crazy catches, and he's been good since as long as I've ever seen Aaron Anderson. He was phenomenal. Kyle Sherman says, let's go back. Gabe doesn't know who Alan Risher is.
I don't.
That's way before. That's like when I was a kid, Alan Risher.
I was born in 1998, so every LSU quarterback from like 03 on.
I'm trying to think who was even the quarterback of LSU in 1998.
I don't know. Oh, like 03 on, that's where we're talking. That's
Jamie Howard time. Jamie Howard. That's your wheelhouse. All right. Let's talk about for a second. There's something about Tulane that I definitely want to get into, okay? And it's bothered me.
I saw this coming.
Because I've seen this online, okay? Again, I used to, when I was a kid growing up, LSU and Tulane was a real rivalry. Yeah. And I didn't like Tulane.
Should be still.
100%. Absolutely. It should play every year. But here's the thing. I've grown to like where I like Tulane now. I root for them to win. But the only problem about when they win is you get and I know you get them with every team, so it's not just Tulane. I get it. But you get the unrealisticness of Tulane and their fans of they think they could beat teams like, I don't know. They think they belong in the playoffs a lot.
Hold on, just 1 second. Losing Perkins hurt this defense bad, Corey says. It did not.
Yeah, I don't think they played any differently.
The defense played better without Perkins for a few weeks.
So anyway, the fact that people think, do they forget that they lost to an average Kansas State team? And I mean average. They should have won the game.
Kansas State's been.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Okay, and I'm being nice. Okay. And then they lost handily. Okay, they got back into the game late, but then lost handily to a team that I think is probably about the fourth worst team in the SEC in Oklahoma. What would Tulane's record be if they were in the SEC?
Not good. Not good.
I mean, eight games in the SEC. Do we think they'd win 3?
It depends on their schedule. If they pulled
Mississippi State,
if they pulled Mississippi State 3 times.
Exactly. So that's my point. Okay. So when my friend like Garland Gillen over at Fox 8, again, great friend, love him to death, but I had to give him crap. I mean, what is the top 25 supposed to be? Is it supposed to be whoever you think deserves to be in there because they don't get enough pub or whatever? Or is it supposed to be the teams you believe are the top 25 teams in the country? Now, if I had a vote, which I don't, but if I were making my poll, I wouldn't have LSU in there now either. But I don't think I'd have Tulane in there, and I certainly would have never put Ooh La La in there. By the way, he had Ooh La La in his top 25, which he'll take out this week. Ooh La La lost to South Alabama this week, who lost to LSU 42-10. Yep. So that's kind of my point. What is this?
And it could have been worse. It could have been worse, but LSU really settled down.
What is the poll supposed to be?
I'm a notorious hater of polls. I will say I saw this performance. I saw this performance from Tulane coming. I thought they'd hit the over. I thought Navy would score at least. But I said last week I knew Tulane would roll comfortably.
Yeah, it's the only one that we were probably.
And I will say, you mentioned earlier that they're one of the best teams in non-Power 5, Notre Dame excluded. I agree with that. I think they are. I even think they're a better team than Boise State. But
I don't know if they could stop that dude.
I don't think they could. That's the thing. Ashton Genty is one person. We're talking team overall. If you take Ashton, once again, I hate being this guy.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Take Ashton Genty off Boise State. They're not a very good team.
Yeah, you can't do that though.
They're not, I know. That's why I'm saying I hate being that guy. I think Tulane's a more complete team. They are not going to make the college football playoff. They're just not. It's gonna be Boise State.
Well, they have no chance to.
Yeah, I don't think they do either. Even as the American champ.
I mean, and that was another thing. It's like there was, and I talked about this earlier. Someone on my feed talking about how Tulane has a chance to, not chance. Tulane has destiny in its own hands if they win. If they beat Memphis and then they beat Army in the AAC championship game, you're not surpassing Boise unless Boise loses. I don't think Boise's going to lose.
I don't think so either. They just got over their toughest hump.
They
play Oregon State next. Oregon State's horrible.
Yeah, right. And then who are they going to play in the conference championship?
I can look that up real quick. I believe it's probably UNLV.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, no, it's Colorado State. It's Colorado State.
Colorado State
right now.
Colorado State. Didn't they get smashed by Colorado earlier? I don't know. Here's a good question. What if Colorado wins out? I think they're in, right?
I think they are in, but I think they get the privilege of being absolutely smacked around by a real team.
I definitely agree with that, but I think they're in. I mean, I think
Charles
they have to be in.
Charles, stop it.
There was a comment. Oh, Charles also asked at this point, Tulane could be there. Tulane would get smoked.
No,
okay, they get smoked by LSU.
No. And
when's the last time LSU was not in the 25? The last time I remember for sure,
probably pre-Brian Kelly,
was right when Coach O went 6-7.
Yep. Well, he went 6-6. Brad Davis coached the bowl game.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
LSU went 6-7 that year. So they were out of the top 25.
Okay, hold on. You're talking the Utah team that's lost what now? 6 straight? And I said last week, I don't recognize your name, Anthony. I don't think you're a regular viewer of the show.
It's okay.
I said last week that this was a huge letdown spot for Utah, considering what happened.
Charles, you're 100% wrong. Well, hold on. You're 100% wrong. 15 years ago, 150% wrong. They were not in the top 25 when they went 6-7. And that was when Coach O got let go. Okay. So 100% wrong. Go ahead.
I think Colorado, if we're using Utah as a measuring stick for a college football playoff team, no, we're not.
I'm just saying Tulane's not in. I mean, you can want them to be in. I mean, you can want them to be in. Just saying.
I think Colorado will win out, to answer the question. I think they will.
I think they will.
I don't think it matters. They're not a national championship contender.
No, whoever they play
hands up, all praise to Deion Sanders. He's done a fantastic job. In Colorado's, he's really revitalized them as a program.
Travis Hunter's the best player in college football.
Yeah, if Ashton Genty keels over tomorrow.
Travis Hunter's the best player in college football.
No, it's not.
Ashton Genty couldn't intercept. He can't. He's first of all, he's not going to win the Heisman.
Ashton Genty?
Not going to win the Heisman.
I think if he breaks the record, he will. I think if he goes over 2,000, he will.
He's not going to win the Heisman.
We'll see.
I mean,
he's on pace for like 30 touchdowns right now as a running back, and I think over 2,000 yards.
Anthony, no, thank you. Thank you. And then, look, we don't always have the banter like this. It's just, it is today. All right.
Just when I rightly call out Nussmeier for not being a good quarterback.
Last thought before we go back to, because we're way over today, and I still got at least 10 minutes on saying it is okay. I mean, people watch it. But last thing I will ask you is, I didn't make a slide for it because I knew I was going to spend the entire show talking about Saints and LSU and a little Tulane. But What do you think about your Houston Texans tonight in Monday Night Football?
That's what I thought it was going to be. If they lose to Cooper Rush, we've got a problem.
Houston, we have a problem.
Don't say it. Oh, the most overused thing in sports.
That's just because you live in Houston.
People in Houston absolutely hate it.
That's like yesterday I was listening to something and it was actually a national show. And it was like someone that's not from here, and then they were talking about, and the Browns face the Saints. Laissez-les bon temps roulé. Shut up.
Yeah, no, it's the same. It's the same thing.
Same
you guys know how I feel. It's the same thing. Yeah, no. I think the Texans. This is a good get right game. Nico Collins is back finally. I mean, the Texans are a playoff team.
Cowboys cover.
What's the spread?
7.5.
Yeah, I think they do.
I think that's
funnily enough, anytime these two teams play,
throw the records out the window.
The team who is worse usually fares better. A few years ago, the Cowboys needed a late drive to beat the Davis Mills led Texans.
Yeah.
It's weird. So yeah, I agree with you. I think they do cover. I think the Texans it's a good get right game though. They need to get right.
I think it's funny when people say if some team goes in a slump, they just automatically aren't that great. It's like people are like saying earlier, Lance Dobart, I think it was, who was saying Green Bay's not that good. I mean, because they had a bad game yesterday. Green Bay's very good, and they're going to give whoever they play in the playoffs, they're going to give them a whole lot of problems.
I have not agreed with Corey on a lot, and I don't agree with this, but this would make me very happy. So I like your thinking, Corey.
Well, there's your public bet, because that is just like I think everyone, I don't think a single person agreed with our picks on Ravens and Steelers. Not a single person.
That was the easiest pick all year.
Exactly. And
easiest
it was
pick all year.
Anti-public. Just saying. All right. Anyway, can't wait to see. By the way, programming note, no show on Wednesday. We will be back on Thursday. We're taking a little time bye week. We're not this week and next week. We're only having 2 shows this week, 2 shows next week. It's Monday and Thursday today. We'll have our best bets on Thursday. Next week, it will be Wednesday and Friday, best bets on Wednesday. We're obviously taking Thanksgiving off, and we're going to take Monday off since there's no game. So I can't wait to see what you bring for me on Thursday. If I'm not mistaken, you're now 6 out of your last 9 in your pick.
7 out of my last 9, I think.
No, I think you missed 2 in a row. Didn't you? Pretty sure you missed 2 in a row.
I don't know. I don't really keep a. I know I've finally bounced back. I did miss 2 in a row. I missed 2 teasers. Yeah, maybe it's 7 of my last 10.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe
7 of the last 10.
Maybe we'll have to go. Maybe I should
1 this week. That's all I know.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see what you got for Thursday, and who knows? Maybe we'll have spirited debate again. Who knows? Maybe we'll get Uncle Big Nick involved. Y'all can gang up on me because he's been hating us Meyer for 3 years. So
I think that's a little much. I just don't think he's the guy to lead a college football playoff team forward.
Talk to you Thursday.
Sounds good.
Bye. All right. Oh, that's fun. That's what we do here. Whoops. That's what we do here, right? We have fun. All right, you got about another 5, 6, 7 minutes to comment here on Mano E Monday. I'm sorry I didn't show as many comments today as I thought I would, but I had a lot to say, so I kind of used up my own airtime. Kyle Sherman says Travis Hunter equals Heisman. You are correct, sir. Where is my friend Eddie? Little 60. That's his nickname. Tulane gets smoked by. That's right, you Tulane fan. Tulane would get. Smoked isn't the right word, because if you lose, I'd say they lose by double digits. Okay, I don't think we get smoked, because I do think LSU would have trouble with Magai Hughes. So I think it would be a decent game for a little while, but I think LSU would win by 10, 12. I didn't skip out. We were in the middle. You were trying to like pipe in Jason when we were getting all feisty about LSU. So I did not skip over the gray hair comments. The only real bad gray is in my beard. And I've always said, I've been thinking about, like, I always ask, like, should I use Just for Men or whatever? And I'm like, the hell with it. When it goes gray, it goes gray. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. But I'll say this. I have a lot less gray in my hair than a lot of other 56-year-olds. I'm just saying. You see a lot of gray in there, pal? I see little holes here and there. Getting there. Anyway. I'm good with it. I'm fine with it. I got a little gray here on the side. It's all good. Charles says, have fun watching, but Gabe, Charles is still watching college football. You leave him alone. My friend Ryan says, how's our Brian Kelly fan today? You just missed the whole banter. I'm going to say this, okay? In only a way that I can say it. If you think the Tigers, first of all, if you think the Tigers will fire Brian Kelly, which is a lot different than should, but you're going to be a miserable mofo for a long time because he ain't getting fired anytime soon. Like, if they lose the rest of their games this year, including the bowl game, he ain't getting fired. Okay? Which he's not. But he ain't getting fired. Nor do I think should he get fired. Again, y'all have some short memories. I know there were people who didn't like Brian Kelly in the first place. I get it. I don't agree with you, but I get it. And so now you even have more fodder. But it's funny how all you Brian Kelly haters wasn't saying jack crap when they were like 6-1. Y'all were nowhere. It's just like the Derek Carr haters that are nowhere to be found today. I haven't heard a single negative comment about Derek Carr today. Not a single one. Where you at? Oh, you crawled back underneath the wooden patio where it's dark and roaches like to live and lay eggs. You're laying your eggs. Well, the Spencer Rattler lovers. I don't see any. Just saying. Just saying. If he loses to OU, he's definitely done. What do you want to bet? Not going anywhere. He could lose. I'm dead serious. He could lose the rest of his games and the bowl game. Not going anywhere. The only way he's going somewhere is if he resigns on his own. That's the only way he's going somewhere. He won't be fired. He won't be asked to leave. He won't go anywhere unless he just wants to go. Barry, another good show. You make it so much enjoyable when the Saints win. I don't know why our ratings are better when they lose. Although they were pretty good today, at least for a little while. They kind of went down when I started playing the clips, I guess. It's like Gabe says here, $60+ million buyout. He won't be fired after one bad season. If he does this next year, we'll talk. I mean, yeah. I mean, if they start out bad next year, I mean, he's not going to be fired in season anyway. Rattler for MVP. You know what's really, I think you mean it. Corey, I think you mean it. I love you for being a part of the Dattitude family because you have definitely been here all season. Now, maybe not every show, but I know you've been here a lot and you like to press buttons. You were definitely one of the Rattler lovers that have been very quiet as of late. How much did they lose by? We were trying to think of this, and if anybody has the answer to this, please find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. or email me, jderry@theadvocate.com, or subscribe to the show and leave a comment on YouTube. By the way, if you haven't done so, please, by all means, subscribe to the show. When's the last time a team, it's had to have happened, but a team lose 3 games in the same season by 18 points and win at least 3 games in the same season by 18 points? When has that happened? Now, I have a lot of research things, and I like to, but I don't even know how to research that without like going through a bunch of. It would take me hours to find. Does anybody have a quick way to find that out? If you do, please let me know. I know you're joking, and I know you love Rattler. David says most valuable practice squad. I don't even think he's that. Charles, awesome show again. Nothing but love. Absolutely. Nothing. Let me tell you, I'm not saying you should be honored, but if I call you a numbnuts, it's because I love you. It's like I said it before. We could sit here on my couch together and watch a game together and see it completely different ways. I'd talk to you the same way that I'm talking to you right now. I don't know. All right. I think that is going to just about wrap it up. Jason says, you live by, you die by, you have to manufacture some consistent pressure. Made Winston look like a good quarterback yesterday. I know. That's what I'm worried about. I know. Rainey, I haven't given you a lot of crap. I'm glad your nuts are intact, though. Well, that's a positive for sure. Am I supposed to say that out loud? All right. Anyway. All right. We've been on way too long this morning. I knew we would be. I knew it'd be a longer show. We had a lot to talk about. I had to talk about LSU this morning. I've kind of ignored them the past couple of weeks. I even after that good performance, I've kind of ignored them a little bit. I'm sorry for the green screen issue. We're going to figure out what the hell this is, and it's got some weird little flashing going on in there too. I don't know what that's about. That would aggravate the hell out of me if I was watching. I'm glad y'all stuck with me. I want to thank Gabe for the friendly banter, and all of you. You were the guest today. You were the guest, as you are every Monday. We'll probably do it again soon. I will, again, program a note. If you didn't hear me say this, no show on Wednesday. I know a lot of you will not hear me say it, and we like to take little breaks when we can because we work like 6-7 days a week when we can't. And that's kind of I don't remember the last day I had off. I really don't. The last day I had just a day off, I don't remember when it was. It's been at least a couple weeks. So anyway, not to give you a sob story, but I'm taking a little bit of a mini break. That will wrap it up for us on this Monday, this Mano E Monday. Again, we will be back on Thursday with our best bet show. No show Friday, no show Wednesday. And then next week, it'll be the opposite. There'll be no show Monday and no show Thursday, and we'll have a show on Wednesday and Friday. And then next week, we'll be talking about Saints Rams. Can the Riz do it again? Nobody beats the Riz. That's what they say anyway. Can he do it again against the Rams? We'll find out. One more time, a reminder to subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. Click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live. You can also find us wherever you get your podcast, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. You can find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. My field trip day, yeah, but I didn't take the day off, so it wasn't a day off. I just didn't have a show. I went to the field trip and I came straight home and worked till like 10 in the evening. So I wasn't home. Riz-tastic. Kyle Sherman says the 1981 Commanders, well, they were the Redskins then. We're close on the big wins and losses. I'm going to go check them out, Kyle. When I get off of the show, I'm going to look up the 1981 Commanders under Joe Gibbs. Charles wants to know what the show, we have 700 plus subscribers on YouTube. However, this is why I want people to switch over. We get about anywhere between, on a Monday, an average Monday is about 10 to 12,000 views. Okay. And a vast majority of them are on Facebook. Not that I don't appreciate the Facebook viewers. I just want them to come over and watch us on the YouTube. Be subscribers. That's where the family lives. Anyway, that's where we are. Don't forget to check out our work at bet.nola.com. And of course, the Saints Insiders. They'll always keep you in the know. The latest news, the latest talk. They have their own show as well. NOLA.com/Saints for the Saints Insiders. Everyone have a wonderful couple of days. We will see you on Thursday with Best Bets, more Saints talk. What's LSU going to do this week? Maybe even a little bit more Tulane. Who knows? And if the Pels win, I might give them a little shout out. Until then, we will see you Thursday. Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.